Hello, and welcome to The Thoughtful Doctor, where medicine meets humanity. Now, if you watched or listened to the first episode, last time we spoke about forgetting, about how sometimes things don't get remembered, but not because we don't care, but because the mind is already holding so much. But when I thought back to that moment, there was something else there as well, not just the forgetting bit. A feeling that came up almost immediately and was so overpowering. The feeling of guilt. Now, today we are going to talk about the heavy weight of shame, why our brains turn on us, and how we can gently interrupt it. I want to start with this particular sentence I hear as well a lot of times in my clinic. It's a feeling that sounds responsible, but it's actually one of the most destructive things we can say to ourselves. I should have known better. Not that I didn't know, not I'm still learning, just I should have known better. Now, what's interesting is it's never said with curiosity. It's never said with the desire to learn or improve. It's said with shame. So today we are going to talk about why our brain does this, the biological hidden cost of being hard on ourselves, and how we can actually retrain our nervous system to use care instead of pressure. So I remember a recent incident in clinic. I met new parents. They had their first baby. They had that look a lot of us might recognize, especially if you had your own kids or have cared for someone else close to you. A mix of deep love, total exhaustion, and a bit of panic. So what they have been doing is giving their baby formula feeds. Baby is 3 months old, but someone told them that it keeps the babies fuller for longer. And it's a common piece of advice when you're overwhelmed and just want your baby to sleep. But being in the role of a doctor, I gently said to them, breast milk is generally best for the baby's immune system, but only if it is sustainable for you. Formula is absolutely a healthy option. But before I could even finish that sentence, one of them just went completely quiet. They looked at the floor and said, I should have known better. I am making my child weaker. Now, in that moment, the medical advice didn't matter anymore. It wasn't about the feeding. It was about their identity. They had shifted from I made a choice to I'm a bad parent. And I see this every single day with myself as well. We don't just make mistakes. We turn them into identity statements. I didn't know quickly becomes I'm not good enough. I forgot quickly becomes I'm careless. That shift is where the shame lives. Now, a little bit about the biology of it. Let's look at what's happening inside our head or brain. When that I should have voice kicks in, shame isn't just a bad mood. It's also a biological event. Our brain has a system called as the threat defense system. Its only job is to keep us safe from predators or any form of harm. Now, when we make a mistake and then shame ourselves for it, our brain doesn't see a learning opportunity. It sees a threat. It activates the same neural pathways as if we were being physically attacked. Our chest might feel tight, our stomach sinks, and we feel an urgent need to hide or disappear. But here is the hidden cost. The part most of us don't realize, especially in that situation. Now, when our brain is in threat mode, it diverts all the blood and energy away from our prefrontal cortex. What is that? That's the part of your brain responsible for logic, problem solving, and perspective. So by shaming ourselves for not knowing better, we are biologically turning off the very part of our brain which we need to actually do better next time. Shame doesn't make us any better. It makes us slower. It makes us biologically less capable. So, we shouldn't regret anything? No guilt whatsoever? Let's understand this better. First, we'll have to understand the difference between guilt and shame. They feel similar and we use them interchangeably as well, but they have completely opposite effects on our life and our body. Now, when the guilt is, I did something wrong, it's like a compass. It's uncomfortable, but it drives us to apologize, to repair, to learn, and to grow. It's focused on the action. Whereas the shame is, I am wrong. It's an anchor. It tells you that the flaw is in yourself, in your DNA. It shuts everything down. You don't learn, you don't reflect on it, you just shrink. So, where one helps us repair our life, the other just makes us feel like we don't deserve one. So, how do we get this self-compassion when everything seems so hard and we rarely have any time to think or feel? Well, I have a trick I can share with you. Next time, whenever you get that shrinking feeling of guilt, I want you to try something. Just pause. And if it feels okay, just place a hand on your chest or gently hold your arm. Try and take a slow breath in and a longer breath out. You don't have to feel calm, but even something this small has a massive impact on our bodies. When we often think of comforting other people, it works because it's scientifically proven that something like a hug, even as short as holding someone for 20 seconds, can start releasing a chemical in our brain called oxytocin. This is a chemical or a hormone linked with safety, connection, and bonding. It is the same chemical which helps soothe a child or a friend, but we can also use it on ourselves. And that's the interesting bit. Your body doesn't only respond to other people, but even a gentle self-touch. If you're holding your arm or placing a hand on your chest, that can send signals to your brain that you are safe enough. It can automatically lower the stress response and begin to shift things slightly. Not completely, but just enough. So remember, we are not trying to fix the feeling, but just trying to activate our caregiving system instead of letting our threat response system take charge. So although some people might think self-compassion is soft or lazy, the data shows exactly the opposite. People who practice self-compassion are actually more resilient. They recover faster from failures. And because they aren't wasting their energy or time on a threat response, they continue to stay in the problem-solving mode and learning. So, next is my thoughtful doctor prescription for this week. It's a 5-minute practice I call as the self-kindness audit. So, ideally, let's say you have had this I should have known better moment at work or at home, you can ask these 3 questions to yourself. What did I just say to myself? Get the exact sentence out of your head and into the light, because it usually sounds much harsher when you hear it out loud. Would I say this to someone I love? If your best friend made that mistake, would you tell them that they were a failure? Probably not. And the third one is, what is a kinder, more accurate sentence? So instead of I'm a bad parent or a partner or a bad colleague, try that I'm just a tired human who is learning a new skill and trying their absolute best. That's it. We aren't aiming for perfect, we're just aiming for slightly more accurate. So to all the parents, the professionals, and the perfectionists watching or listening to this, you aren't behind, you aren't failing. You're just someone whose brain learned to use pressure instead of care to keep you safe. And that can change. Well, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Which of those 3 audit questions feel the hardest to answer? So until next time, remember that you're not failing, but learning something you never thought or never taught. Because the world moves fast, but understanding people and minds take time. Thank you and take care.